Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker this morning is the Honorable Phil Berger, Jr. Phil Berger, Jr. is currently serving as a judge for the North Carolina Court of Appeals. Phil Berger grew up in Rockingham County. He earned his law degree from Wake Forest University School of Law in 1999, and he went on to begin his legal practice, his legal career in private practice. From 2001 and 2006, he joined his father and his brother to form the Berger Law Firm. In 2006, Phil Berger was elected district attorney in the 17A prosecutorial district, and he was reelected in 2010. 2015 to 2016, Phil Berger served as an administrative law judge with the North Carolina Office of Administrative Hearings. And in 2016, he was elected as a judge at the North Carolina Court of Appeals. Phil Berger is married to Jody Church. They have two children, Philip III and Will. Ladies and gentlemen, he'll tell you what he's wanting to do. At this time, please join me in welcoming Justice Phil Berger, Jr. to our convention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Larry. Good morning, and thank you to Farm Bureau for having me with you at this convention. It is a pleasure to be here. Let me first say thank you for what you did in 2016. Thanks to rural North Carolina and farmers across this state, you helped elect me to the North Carolina Court of Appeals. You delivered over 2.2 million votes to my campaign, and you allow me to serve the state in a very special way. In 2016, you said you wanted judges with common sense, and through your work and your help, you've put me in a position to where I am now to run for the North Carolina Supreme Court. Now, I'm not going to talk a lot about politics today. In fact, I'm not going to talk about politics at all. But I want to tell you about an early stop on the campaign trail that was very important to me and sticks with me to this day. Brent Strickland invited me to Bunn, North Carolina, to the Vollmer Farm, for a day of prayer and thanksgiving for the upcoming growing season. There was good food, good music, good fellowship, and a lot of good prayers for what was hopefully a good season to come. And it reminded me, just like being here this morning, of the sense of community that we have in rural North Carolina, the sense of belonging and the need to pull together. So what I'd like to do this morning, just briefly, is tell you a little bit about who I am and why the courts are important. But first, I get to tell a farm joke. So there's this big city lawyer, okay, and he decides one day that he wants to go into poultry. So he buys up some acreage, buys up some land, gets everything ready, and he goes down to the farm supply store. And he says to the attendant, "I'm going to start me a chicken farm. I need 1,000 baby chicks." And the attendant says, "Well, that's a little ambitious for what we can sell you and what you're planning to do. How about I sell you 100? So they agree on 100. A few days later, the big city lawyer comes back. You know the type, right? He's got more opinions than common sense. The big city lawyer comes back, and he's discouraged. The attendant can tell he's discouraged. And the attendant says, can I help you? And big city lawyer says, "Yeah, I need to get 100 new baby chicks." And the attendant said, "My goodness, what happened?" He said, well, they died. They all died. "All those 100 baby chicks died?" Big city lawyer said, "Yeah, I think I planted them too close together." So I was hoping, my son said you wouldn't laugh at that joke. I'm glad you did. So I'm from Rockingham County. I'm from a place where, just like most of you, hard work, right, is one of the values that we grew up with. Neighbors, the importance of community, all of those things are important. I'm married. My wife Jody and I have been married for 23 years. We met in school at UNCW. We've got two great kids. My oldest son is a freshman in college. My youngest son is a sophomore in high school. He's been through the animal science class. He wants to be a veterinarian. And specifically, he's interested in being a vet for hog farmers. He understands that there is difficulty in rural communities getting vets out to the farm. So to those of you who have invited me and invited him to tour your facilities, thank you, because you've really instilled an interest in him in the farming community. Now, I served as district attorney in Rockingham County for 8 years. I was president of the North Carolina Conference of District Attorneys. I am not the one who got in all that trouble, okay? That wasn't me. But after that, I became an administrative law judge. And you go, what on earth is that? Well, that's a judge that deals with state agencies, appeals involving state agencies. How many of you have ever gotten a notice of violation from DEQ? Right? So those are the types of cases that I would hear. And then in 2016, as I mentioned, I was elected to the North Carolina Court of Appeals. Paul Newby, who was here with you earlier in the convention, is a good friend of mine. He swore me in to my position as district attorney. He swore me in at my position as a judge on the Court of Appeals. And thanks to Paul, people have been swearing at me ever since. So that's a little bit about me. Let me tell you why the courts are important, especially to rural North Carolina and the farming community. Now, I don't have to tell you how important judges are. Our friends down in eastern North Carolina know better than most that judges matter. Right? Judges matter. And as the lieutenant governor said, there are many people in our metropolitan areas that just don't understand rural North Carolina. Right? They don't get us. They don't understand our way of life. And they certainly don't appreciate rural issues like people from Rockingham County and from your county. It's so important that we have individuals in our court system that give voice to the people from rural North Carolina and the farming community. Of the judges on my court, of the judges on the 15 judges on the Court of Appeals, there are only about 3 that live outside of Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, or Charlotte. We need more people from rural North Carolina serving on our courts, right? And that's from district court and superior court, which is in your local county, to the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court, which is statewide, right? So everybody from the coast to the mountains and everywhere in between gets to vote for these appellate judgeships that are so critical in our state. Can we agree on this point that every decision made in a courtroom across this state has an economic impact, whether it's on your community, on you as an individual, or on your business? So think about this in your everyday work. How many of you have contracts that have to be enforced? Right? How many of you have permitting issues that go before a city council or county commission that end up in the court system? How many of you have property rights that need to be enforced? Right? All of us do. So those issues at some point make their way through the court system. And while you may not be the party to the lawsuit that makes its way to the Supreme Court, what happens in the Supreme Court affects the way you do business, affects the way you interact with your customers, and impacts the way that you and your family can make money. So if agribusiness is to continue to be a $92 billion industry in this state and continue to grow and be the backbone of our economy, we need judges who understand rural North Carolina. And we need judges who understand that farmers matter. My name is Phil Berger, Jr. I'm a judge on the North Carolina Court of Appeals and a candidate for the North Carolina Supreme Court. Thank you for what you do, and thank you for your support. Thank you.